Good day, folks. My name is Sean, and this is Air Photography. Today I'm going to be doing a long-term one-year review of the Autel Evo 2. I've been flying it for about a year now. I think it was May 12th of 2020 when I first received it. I've had a ton of fun flying it, and in my opinion, I still say it has one of the best cameras, prosumer cameras on the market anyways. I know that is debatable. Everybody has their own opinion and what they like, but from all the drones that I have flown, I own pretty well every DJI drone except the Inspire and many other brands. I still have to say that I like the picture quality of the 1-inch sensor on the 6K version. Now, like any drone that's currently on the market, the Autel Evo 2 has its pros and its cons. So we're going to talk about what I really like about it and a few things that need some work. Now, to start off, as I already mentioned, the Autel Evo 2 has an amazing camera. Personally, myself, as mentioned, I think it's one of the best prosumer cameras on the market. Now, I want to mention I'm not a person who really flies at night. I don't do a lot of night flights, and the limited flights that I do at night, I can't really make any kind of opinion on how it performs because I don't have enough experience to really make that kind of opinion. But I do a lot of flights at sunset and sunrise, and definitely the Autel Evo 2 does an amazing job. I included some of this footage on my YouTube channel already, but here's a good example. A couple months ago, I was filming this lighthouse at sunset. It's an abandoned lighthouse just off the shore. It's about 2 kilometers out in the water, and you can see in this footage here, you just have that nice orange glow. That 1-inch sensor has good dynamic range, so it was able to pick up the sky, the nice orange tones in the sky, but you still be able to pick up nice detail in the water. You can see the water there has that nice shade of blue in it, and this 1-inch sensor was able to capture both nicely. And I just want to mention there that shot there was shot in auto. I didn't do anything special with the camera. I just had it in auto, put the drone up, and filmed. I'm not a photography person per se. I know some people love to get in there with their settings. Of course, sometimes I will adjust the EV compensation, and sometimes I will film in a flat color profile just so I can bring out more color when editing. But that shot that you've seen there was just shot in auto, and there was no color correcting done in post. So hands down, I believe that this has the best prosumer camera on the market. Now, I know a lot of you might be saying, well, the Air 2S has a 1-inch sensor, and the Air 2S does have an amazing sensor as well. The only thing that's limiting it is that the aperture is not adjustable, whereas on the Evo 2 here, you can adjust the aperture and get a little bit more creative that way. Now, another thing I really like about this drone is the obstacle avoidance. The obstacle avoidance is actually quite good. It's almost too good sometimes. You have to go in and turn it off. But as you can see here, we have lots of sensors all the way around it. We have 2 sensors at the side, 2 sensors at the top, on the other side there, at the back, at the bottom, and on the front. So this drone offers complete 360-degree obstacle avoidance. Even the Mavic 2 Pro, they don't really call it 360-degree obstacle avoidance. They call it omnidirectional obstacle avoidance. On the top of the drone, they don't have obstacle sensors, and on the side, they only have the 1 sensor. So you really need that dual vision in order to get proper depth. So if you are a person who likes your obstacle avoidance, the Autel Evo 2 definitely is a clear winner. Of course, it's not quite as good as the Skydio, but that's a whole different type of drone. Now, another nice thing that Autel has done with the Evo 2 is make the camera easily upgradable. The Autel Evo 2 with the 8K camera, you can upgrade to the 1-inch sensor quite easy. The airframe between all the Evo 2 series drones is exactly the same. You can easily purchase one online right from Autel or B&H and swap it out yourself. It's a very simple procedure. You don't have to have a lot of knowledge when it comes to electronics. There's like 4 screws in there that you have to take out, and it just pops in quite easily. So that opens it up to easy repairs and easy upgrades. When I first bought my Evo 2, it did come with the 8K camera, and that was because that was all that was available at the time. But then I did order the 1-inch sensor upgrade, and it was such an easy process. There's the old 8K camera in there now. They give you everything you need inside the box, including a precision screwdriver. They give you some extra screws and even some extra rubber grommets. The vibration dampeners, I should say. So yeah, everything comes in there in a nice little package. You can see we got 2 screwdrivers, 1 on each side there, because there are 2 different sizes of screw. Now, another big feature a lot of people like about the Evo 2 is that it doesn't have geo fencing like some of the DJI drones. Not that geo fencing is a bad thing, but sometimes it can get out of date. Airfields and heliports kind of change and some close down, and the DJI app sometimes still will read them as an active airfield, and of course then you can't take off. And even if you can get approval and get in there and fly, it takes time when you're out in the field. The Evo 2 is quite a large drone, so that could be a positive or a negative depending on who the person is. Personally, I don't mind it. It still folds up nice and compact, and it's easy to pack in a camera bag. In some situations, that extra size and weight can be very beneficial, especially on windy days. I think the Evo 2 handles the wind much better than some of the lighter drones, especially when you compare it to something like a DJI Mini or even the Air 2, on a really windy day, they can sometimes struggle. The Autel Evo 2 actually does quite a good job in the wind. If you're a person who lives on a coastal region, that can be very important because you can get quite a bit of strong winds coming in off the lakes, almost on a regular basis. So you want a drone that's able to handle that. The flight time on the Evo 2 is great. I believe it's rated at 40 minutes. So that's a little bit more than some of the other drones on the market. But while we're on the topic about flight time, the batteries for the Evo 2 are quite expensive, so that's kind of a negative. Here in Canada, I believe they're about $299, something like that, if you order them on Amazon. So be prepared for that. You may not be able to load up in batteries, but if you purchase one spare battery, that gives you quite a bit of flight time, and usually that's enough for most people. Autel is pretty good with their updates. The drone did have some issues early on when it was first released, but there have been quite a few updates, both firmware and for the Autel Explorer app. They've added a lot of new features and fixed quite a few of the problems. One of the problems I was having, and some people had early on, is that it was hard to get the drone to fly straight. It was always drifting off to the side. For me, that's no longer an issue. That was corrected early on. Now, another really nice thing that I love about the Evo 2 is the mission planner. Mission planning isn't something that everybody needs or uses, but if you're a person who likes to make waypoint missions, the Autel Evo by far has a really nice setup. The Mavic 2 Pro does offer a mission planner as well, and for the most part it works decently. The only problem with the Mavic 2 Pro one is that you have to have the drone powered on and connected to the controller. With the Autel one here, you can do it offline. You can go right in and create a waypoint mission. You can go in easily and add all your waypoints, set the behavior, the angle of the drone. You can then save it and fly it at a later date. Now, another thing I really like about Autel as a company is their customer support. I would have to say they have one of the best customer support teams out there. I've had to use Autel customer support twice, and both times everything went smoothly and I was quite pleased. The first time I had to use their customer support was when I first ordered the drone brand new. I had ordered it from an online drone company, and when I received it, it was dead on arrival. There was a problem with the IMU, and if you recall, that was kind of an issue with a few of them. At the time when they were first released, there was no way to calibrate the IMU yourself. I contacted the website from which I ordered it and was told I had to send it back to them at my expense. And that was going to cost me about $65, I believe it was. And I wasn't quite happy with that. I shouldn't have to pay for a defective product. So I opted to contact Autel directly, and right away they sent me a prepaid label to send it back in. And in fact, they already shipped me out a brand new one before I'd even got this to the shipping company. To me, that was fantastic. It's really good to see when a drone company really stands behind their product and looks after their customer. The other time I used their customer support is when I ordered the 1-inch sensor. I ordered this from B&H online, and when it arrived, I realized there was no gimbal cover. The gimbal cover that came with the 8K doesn't work with the 6K, so I contacted Autel to see if there was a way I could purchase one. They told me right away that they realized that was an issue, kind of an oversight on their part, and they sent me one right away. I had it within 2 or 3 days. If I'm not mistaken, I do believe they do come with a gimbal guard now. So 2 times I used their customer service, and extremely happy. So that's really important, especially the cost of these things, and you really want the manufacturer to stand behind them and to help you out when you have problems. So as you can see, I am really happy with the Autel Evo 2. However, there are a few things that, do need some work and things that need to be addressed. The first is the controller, and if you've watched any reviews, that's probably one thing that everybody complains about. My biggest issue with this controller is the balance of it. When you have a phone, it just kind of feels a little awkward. And they have these buttons right at the bottom here, and that's kind of right where your hands rest to hold it, so I'm constantly pressing buttons on the bottom when I don't mean to. So definitely I think the Autel Evo 2 needs a newly designed controller that comes stock with the drone. Now, of course, we all know they have that new smart controller coming, and I'm actually pretty excited for that. I'm hoping to get my hands on one to test it out, but not everybody can afford an expensive controller like that, so I think they need to update the controller that comes with the base kit. Now, with that said, the controller does have some really nice features. You can actually use the screen on it as a FPV view if you happen to, say your phone dies or you forget a cable or something like that. Instead of having telemetry on the screen, you can actually get a live feed from the drone. Now, it's not touchscreen, you can't change settings, but if you just want to get up in the air quickly, do a flight, capture some content, it's definitely good enough for that. The connection between the controller and the drone is actually quite good. I've never done a full range test with it. I'm not really a person who flies it out that far. But I've had it out several kilometers, and I've had a nice solid connection, no breakups. Now, one thing, if you've watched any reviews of the Autel Evo 2, some people state that the flight characteristics, the control sticks, are not quite as good as a DJI drone. And that's something that I strongly disagree with, and I've actually debated this with quite a few people over the last year. In my opinion, and again, this is just my opinion, I don't claim to be right or wrong in anything. I think what happens there is that people who fly DJI, they've been flying DJI for years. DJI has their own style of characteristics, the flight controllers, the way everything works. So Autel is just, in my opinion, different. It's not worse, it's not better, it's just different. They have their own flight characteristics. So personally, I think that has a lot to do with it. I will admit, when I first flew this for the first time, I was a little rusty on the sticks. I wasn't as smooth as when flying a DJI drone, but over the last year that has greatly improved. In fact, I can fly this, in my opinion, just as good as a DJI drone, especially when you're getting into more complex maneuvers. So that's all I really have to say about that. The controller does need to be updated, better design, better balance, and definitely USB-C. This still has a micro USB port on it, which is a little bit dated. So I think those are the three main negatives I have about this drone. A redesigned remote is in order. Expensive batteries. That controversial. It doesn't have as good of fine-tuned flight controls as a DJI. Again, that's debatable, and everybody has their opinion on that. So yeah, folks, that is my long-term review of the Autel Evo 2. I highly recommend this drone for somebody who's looking for the best picture quality. The drone is a little bit pricey. It's a little bit more than some of the other consumer drones on the market are around the same quality. But definitely this does have some advantages and some features to justify that price difference. Whether you're just a hobbyist and looking to fly for fun, or you want to do some commercial work, you want to make some money with your drone, definitely the Autel Evo 2 is a good choice. Myself, I just started getting into a little bit on the commercial side, using my drone for some paying clients, and definitely the Autel Evo 2 is the drone I use when I'm doing a paid gig. If you have any questions about the Autel Evo 2, you can ask me down in the comments below. Well folks, that's basically it for this video. Hopefully you enjoyed it and got some value out of it. Give it a thumbs up if you did. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any of our upcoming videos, and we'll see you in the next one.